Alrighty, we'll go ahead and get started now. Thank you for joining us here for our community conversations. This is the second one. It differs a little bit from our Arbor talks in that it's a little bit more just open forum, bring your questions. We have a loose topic, but we're always interested in fielding whatever questions we can. So I'm going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to go ahead and ask you to mute your microphone at this time. And when we open up the floor, we'll go ahead and ask you to unmute. And the best way for me to call on individuals in these meetings is go ahead and using that raise hand icon. It does look like most of us are on a computer. I'll go ahead and click it now. That lets me know that you want to speak so that I can call on you. And then, of course, I can call individuals in turn. So great. Thank you, Ivelisse. The next thing is the chat function. If you're feeling a little shy, maybe you just want to chat your question out, we'll definitely read that out to the group. I got a message already to where that chat is, so please feel free to use that as well. A couple of us have video. If you're experiencing internet delay, just go ahead and turn that video off. Of course, we'll miss seeing your face, but it should help with your bandwidth moving forward. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my team, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So I have Leandra Bryan, our Senior Community Engagement Specialist. She's giving a little wave there. Then we have Kristen Horton, our Community Engagement Specialist. And then we have on the call joining us today, Todd Warner, CEO and President. So thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to Todd to do a short welcome.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for everything you do. And thanks for joining us tonight. It always works better when we collaborate. And we sat down this week with the team to talk about the upcoming convention, which we're already planning for 2027. And certainly we come up with better ideas and better thoughts when we all put our heads together than we try to do it independently. So this really is as a forum for us to do that from an Arbor standpoint. You guys are the hands and feet of our mission. And we appreciate what you do so much in your communities. And we look forward to, I know it's a ways away, but look forward to seeing you at convention. So I'll keep it short and brief so we can get to the heart of the matter here and turn it back over to Jessica. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so let's get started. Today, our loose topic was membership growth. We were kind of hoping that we'd have some Arbor members here who have experienced something that's worked, or maybe you're an Arbor that's struggling with that a little bit, and maybe we can talk about some of the tools that are available to you through the Community Engagement Department. With that, I'll kind of open it up. Is anybody interested in kind of kicking us off? If not, we've got some questions that Leandra's going to go ahead and bring to the table to get some dialogue going. Just remember to use that raise hand icon. We'd love to see it.
Does Ivelisse have her own hand raised?
I think I'm going to write a letter like I did probably like 3 or 4 years ago to all members and tell them about the new upcoming on voting for the new board and all that, and see that helps. I mean, bring somebody besides us, same as usual. So I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can find the old one and kind of like adjust it for this year, and I'll send it to Leandra just to review it and all that. And if you guys can mail that for us, so we'll see. But that's the idea that I have.
Well, and new members, it's like, the new members is just like, because I think we have struggled just trying to get new members. So probably just listening to new ideas as to how can we reach to new people that may want to, join, Gleaners in our Arbor. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have done that for a couple of years. Have you ever had anybody join you from that letter?
Not really.
No.
Not from the letter besides people. I mean, I know I received like new members and stuff like that, but usually they're not even close by here. I mean, they're like 4 or 5 hours away from or north or something. So I don't know. I mean, how that happened, but they're in there.
I'm not sure either.
So yeah,
we usually tailor those membership lists to a radius. So maybe that person had moved and we weren't notified of their new address. That could have happened. Some things that I just want to highlight that we're really working on and recently is our email campaign. That's an option. We could also do a mailing and an email blast to all the members that have emails on file within that same radius. We can pull that information pretty quickly. We haven't quite had interest yet, so I can't really speak to the statistics and how that worked. We have had one so far, and while it was opened by almost all the individuals that received it, we don't know what the results were from the Arbor's level for that. But there's that opportunity. Last I knew, and correct me if I'm wrong, you did a handwritten letter or a hand-typed letter. Did we include your brochure with it?
That honestly, I don't think so. But I was thinking about that, and I was going to tell you that would be good, like to include our brochure or something. But I would prefer to be updated with pictures of us, so people kind of like recognize us and all that. So I say, oh, they're on that group and that committee, so maybe I would like to join or something. Because I mean, I know the last brochure that I have, it doesn't have pictures of us. So maybe I can send you new ones or something, and you can maybe update it. But I think it will be a good idea include the brochure with it.
Yeah, we'll always take good and nice photos of arbors. That is one thing that we always will take. The other thing too, if I think we have an option for the photo, Leandro will correct me if I'm wrong, but to put on the back of the brochures. And if that's not the case, we can create a flyer that has all your photos on it and just really maybe invite them to your next event that's coming up. So they're getting a letter from you kind of explaining who and what you are and maybe a little bit about Gleaner. And then that flyer is like, come join us at at our next event. And, maybe that'll have an opportunity to see some new faces.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be better too than like asking to take on an officer role, because me coming in from an outsider going to a first meeting and all of a sudden being like, hey, take on this role might be a little scary and kind of nerve-wracking. So getting them more to be involved is your kind of your first step. And then looking at that longer picture too. So if you're getting them at those meetings, starting that mentorship process and that talking so that maybe in 2 years they can take over those roles, or if something comes up in the middle that they're able to step into versus looking for them at this immediate time. So I was going to say, I've also have heard from arborists that have done like a postcard mailing for their upcoming events, have a better turnout as well, because then the individual has it in front of them. They're not opening it. And so it has a higher return of being looked at versus getting put in that pile. And then they open it down the road and be like, oh, that was 2 weeks ago. I missed that event. So that might be something to think about too, when you're thinking about mailings.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Another thing that we, of course, have seen success on Gleaner's side from our own social media, but I think Gulf Coast has a Facebook. You can put your events in there, and then that pushes to all your contacts. They can select, I'm going, I'm not going. That's another way to kind of reach just a few more people. They might not be members, but if it's a community event, you can invite them to that community that event. Another thing too is we're kind of toe dipping into, spending like $10 on a Facebook boost and the reach that's getting. I know at our level with Gleaner, we spent, I think, $20 a day for like 3 days, and it reached 45,000 people. So there are some opportunities there. If you're comfortable with social media and you want to just spend just a little bit of money, it doesn't take a lot. The minimum, I think, is $5 a day. And that can help increase those reaches to your events from the community perspective. Now, again, like Leandra said, you get people, they might not be members, but then they get introduced into the Arbor. They see the great things that you're doing. And, then maybe it's how do you guys have these opportunities? And that's a conversation, and we can get connected with an agent. So it's just taking those first little steps to get that snowball kind of rolling, and we'll help and support in any way that we can to get you guys there. How about anybody else? What's working? Anything, I guess. Any other conversations? All right, Leandra, let's do a conversation topic.
Question. Um,
Yes.
Once a new person attends your event or a meeting, what does the Arbor do to keep them engaged and to update them on additional information to hopefully bring them back?
So retention.
Yes.
Does anybody have a good retention process? Any? I love to give ideas. Of course, they're not tested or anything like that, but one of the ways is if you do have your social media, let's add them to the Facebook group or the Facebook page. Let them have that information so that they can always see what you're working on as long as you're posting in it and keeping it active. Taking an email address and starting an email group, but make sure that you get their permission. I would like to stress that. And make sure you set expectations for what that email address is going to be receiving. The other things that we could do is, let's think. If they're comfortable, if you do, I know some arbors do mailings within their own arbor, address information. That would be something you just need to have that conversation with them about, like setting those expectations on what those are being used for. What else? Anybody have any good ideas for keeping retention?
I think those are the important ones. Also, by collecting phone number or contact information, that simple follow-up afterwards with a call, or do you have questions regarding what you saw at the meeting? We look forward to seeing you again, that type of stuff.
All right, we've got Todd wanting to jump in, and then we'll go ahead. It sounds like Dorothy's having some electronic issues, so I will read her question after Todd.
So we talked, I think, at the last convention about some of the things that we're piloting, and we experienced one of those earlier this summer with Lenawee Christian School, which is really right next door, their campus, to the Gleaner campus. And we had 16, I think, 7th and 8th graders come over to the home office, help the Legacy Arbor, the Arbor at the home office, do a project, and then spent a few hours around the grounds of Gleaner, sprucing it up and doing outside work. And the point being that those aren't necessarily members, but they bring hands and feet, young hands and feet, and oftentimes they're looking for opportunities to serve in their communities, and the Legacy Arbor really helped provide that. So that might remove maybe some of the I don't want to say burden, but that all the work is being done by a few. So that you may want to think about that. There are other groups. There are 4-H groups like honor societies at high schools. But you could engage with a group and ask them if they want to participate in an event. And one of the things Jessica and I have been talking about then is sort of rewarding their helping of us with maybe a Give and Grow grant that they can do for their high school. So it's just ways to lessen the workload on everybody. And it's always fun to have the young folks around because they bring a certain level of energy to any event as well. So, think about those types of opportunities too, that we're not just limited always to Gleaner members. We kind of want to do a both and, right? But the more that we can engage with others, many hands made light work, I think, as there's a saying about that or something similar. So that's a potential way for retention, that we get more people to help.
Yes, that group was very enthusiastic, and during our follow-up, we had really good discussions. Like, they just want to be asked. So I think we could try to encourage our youth a little bit more by just bringing them to the table. So I would encourage that. Really great success with that event. And if you need help kind of navigating how to contact those individuals, let's have a conversation about it. I'd be happy to do that, and I know the ladies probably would too. That just really is just taking that first step, and sometimes that's hard for people. So let us know how we can help with that. We've got Dorothy. She said that she likes to talk to the individuals at the event and encourage them to like and follow their Facebook. That's great because their reporter is updating that information. So And they have their flyers. I will say Alma Arbor does a really great job requesting flyers from us. Our marketing team is very, very talented. So maybe you have an idea, you're not quite sure how to put it to paper. Give us a call. We'll work through that and we'll submit that for them to go ahead and create that. But I do want to stress that we need the 30 days. Sometimes the team can get things turned around pretty quickly, but they have other obligations that they're working on. And so we just want to make sure that we're being mindful of their scheduling and their task list. So that's why we do ask for the 30 days. Norm, they're using text message groups to communicate with their members. That's great. I'm just going to stress it one more time that when you're doing those types of communication, you just want to make sure that you're being very forward about that you're adding them to a text group and that you're going to be communicating with them that way and that get that buy-in. So just want to be mindful of that. Yep. And then Alma Arbor is also doing a group texting, which if that's working really well, I'm glad to hear that. Again, we just want to make sure that if you're adding people to those groups, that they're aware of what they're being added to.
Kind of a comment too off of Dorothy's with their flyers. Alma does a good job of doing similar events on a yearly basis, like their bingo in the park or their pet day or bark in the park, that type of stuff. And they use the same flyer every year and just kind of update it. And from a conversation with Marla last week, who is their Arbor secretary, they're starting to get recognition of those flyers and that community members are looking for that design or that bright colors to then be notified that those events are coming up. So that's kind of something cool to start seeing, is that, a unique flyer and just those basic updates really can get recognition for you out in the community for future events and them to look for things. So.
All right, Leandra, do you have another topic question?
I guess this one is kind of generic too. Has your Arbor ever been involved in like a community event, like a trunk or treat or a chamber expo or something like that, that has allowed you that interaction to talk with people to potentially bring in members? And has that worked for you? I think I'm picking the wrong questions tonight.
Yeah. There's no bad questions. Just oh, Dorothy's typing her mic. I tried to see if I could unmute it and it's not looking like I can. So I know I can call out Madison Arbor. They actually host their own trunk or treat and it's well attended every year. And we do their flyer we just update it every year because it's something they reuse, which is really, really great. We can get those kinds of marketing flyers turned around a lot faster when we're just updating simple information. So if it is an event, and I apologize, Leandra, if you said this, if it's an event that you're doing over and over, those ones for sure can be updated more timely. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Dorothy said, we used to do Relay for Life, but haven't as much. Seems we no longer can piggyback off other events. So let's talk about that. It's not that you can't. You can definitely join a Relay for Life or an Alzheimer's walk and have that like vendor booth style concept. Where it doesn't fall in is it's not considered an impact. And that's just because the impact guideline does ask that the Arbor plans and hosts that event. But you can do it as an additional. You can set that table up, talk to those individuals, and carry out that event for that additional compensation. It just can't be an impact because we want that impact to be Gleaner focused. And because it is such a high amount that we're returning to you in that $1,000 payout, we want to make sure it's Gleaner first and foremost. And so that's the reason why that came about. I know this is something that comes up a lot in conversations with Arbor members. But this isn't the first time. We're definitely like thinking through that and trying to understand, what is the holdback or the concern of people, is it because it is a lot of work and they want that $1,000, or is it just a misunderstanding? So you can do piggyback events, they just don't qualify as impacts. So that's kind of where that line is. We don't want to discourage those because some of those Relay for Lifes, Alzheimer walks, anything where you're getting individuals walking past your table is a great opportunity to share your information. It's just not an impact level credit.
Which is a nice thing I think about having the program the way it is your additional compensation can really be anything that you guys, there's 5 of you that are together and you're volunteering at the school's 5K for them to help raise money. You're getting publicity, you're helping them in a good cause, and you can still get credit for that. It's just not that larger compensation. So, that additional is kind of an umbrella for many terms in addition to just a business meeting or anything like that. So.
All right, Ivelisse, go ahead and unmute.
That additional is, because Fernando was asking me, it's $100, right?
125.
125, okay.
And you can do up to 12 of them for the year.
Okay.
And like Leander said, just to make it clear, because we did that survey, and we found that arbors are meeting more than once a month. And that could be because they're doing an event and they're doing a meeting. And if that's working for your arbor, that's great. Continue doing that forward. Continue doing that. But you don't have to have a business meeting every month. And I think some arbors didn't realize that. So you could do an additional, you could have your business meeting in 1 month, and then the next meeting, maybe you've already thought through joining that Relay for Life, planned it, hosted it, figured out who's going to be there. You can do that in the next month. You don't have to have a business meeting, but many a times you're going to have that business meeting at that event. You could do that as well. So it's just, they're just going to be on the same activity report. So don't feel like you have to have a business meeting every month if you think that you can plan forward in your future enough to accomplish the things that might be coming up in the next month or two, that so that you don't have to meet so many times a month.
Or some arbors, we'll use this quarter, for example, they'll take July and August for planning, and they'll host in September. And then they'll do October and November as planning, and then they'll host the activity in December. So it's just whatever works best for you. The big thing is we don't want you guys to get burnt out because you think you have to meet so many times. So finding that balance that works for you so that you can get your members there and everyone's happy.
Ivelisse, did you have another question, or is your hand just still raised? Okay. I think lower hand. Okay. All right, Leandra. You have another one to carry us through the end? Not, I'm sure I can talk about a little bit more wrap up about what the tools we have that are available.
Yeah, I'll let you do it. I think we kind of touched base on some of these other ones. So.
Okay, great. So just to reiterate, membership growth, you're not the only one. You're here today because you wanted to get some information about that, or at least share some. Arbors are experiencing that, but what we want to make sure that that we're being very clear about is we're here to support you. I think we've said that almost every single meeting. We really want you to pick up that phone, give us a call and say, hey, I really want to do this. Let's walk through that. So if you have an event, but you're not really sure, like, does a flyer make sense? Does a mailing make sense? What Facebook event, does that make sense? Give us a call. Let's do a marketing strategy for it. Let's think through, like, okay, your event's in 3 months. What are the things and the tools that are available to you that we can offer to kind of walk through that and get that conversation started so that we can help you advertise that event in the best way possible. So we talked about that community engagement. We'll do email blasts, and we'll do a mailing to your membership, whether that's your whole membership, which for some that's quite large, or maybe it's just more condensed zip code poll for your more demographic local area. We can do flyer creations, postcards. Another thing I thought of just here, we've got a local church here that does a day of action, and I don't know the date specifically, but I think it has something to do with the date the church started or something like that. They have a little square. It's probably by 2.5 by 2.5, maybe 3.5 by 3.5, little business card that says, that's got a QR code on it that says, join us for celebration or fraternalism, or I'm not sure what theirs says, but that's something that ours could say. And it's like a little calling card almost that they're giving out to people when they're doing that day of action or that random act of kindness. So we could even do that. There's really, we could think through whatever marketing piece makes sense for your program, and let's create it together. Facebook graphics, something, maybe you want something a little eye-catching. We can do that too. Our marketing group is really good at that. I know our team here too is dabbling in marketing a little bit more and more and creating those graphics for our Arbor Facebook page. Thank you, Leandra. And just other things with our social media that we're trying to get up and going. Event registrations, that's something we haven't like broadcasted to a grand scale, but we have a program that can do event registrations. So if you have an event that you're wanting to know, you want people to RSVP to, and you want one centralized place for them to go to and track that information, we can put disclaimers on it, all of that. We can create that and share that link and put it on the flyers, put it on Facebook, wherever you want to advertise that, we can do that. We can even put it in a QR code so that when they're scanning that little business card that you gave them with a $5 gift card on Random Acts of Kind Day, that's going to take them to your Facebook page. There's a lot of really great options for that. And that's kind of my list that I jotted down here for tonight. But really, if you're feeling like you need some additional marketing help and you want to reach out to your membership, give us a call. We'll figure out what the best route is, whether it's a mailing, an email, postcard, something you're handing out, and we'll make sure that we get it designed for you guys. Anybody else have any other questions? Open the floor for anything before we sign off here this evening. Couple typing. Oh, you're welcome, Ivelisse and Fernando. It's great seeing you guys, as always. Thank you, Dorothy. I'm glad that you found this information helpful. As always, we will edit this video, download it, and throw it up on YouTube, and it'll go out in an email here soon. So feel free to share it with any Arbor members that maybe couldn't make it here today or might need this additional information. You can share it. It takes you right to our YouTube, and they can watch that video anytime at their own leisure. So with that, anybody else? If not, we'll go ahead and sign off here. Again, please reach out. We're here to help. We want to help create beautiful marketing pieces for you and email blasts and all of that great thing. So be sure to reach out when you need.
Yep. We're here for you guys.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank
Stay
you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a great evening. Thank you for joining with us today for Community Conversations. We're so glad that you're here. Be sure to leave a comment down below of what you thought about this video, as well as any other questions that you might have for us. Be sure to click the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so that you can be made aware when these videos go live. Thanks. Have a great day.